Hey guys, this is Healthy Life Designing. We have such a treat today for you guys. We're actually in my home out in good old Rushville, Ohio, and we're talking to business owner Addie Ashworth. And she is the owner of Ashworth Staging and Design. And she not only goes into your home if you're trying to sell it, she will help your business look the way you're envisioning it, but she can also help plan a little bit of decorating for the holidays. And the best part that I have found in my own experience so far is that she can come into your home and put a great new touch on your personal space so that you can be inspired, feel more creative and more productive. So stick around because Addie is going to be joining us and sharing all of the great things that she has to offer.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Hey guys, we're back with our guest, Addie Ashworth. Oh my gosh, you are such an incredible person. Not only have we spent so much time in my own home redesigning, redecorating, and recreating a space that I can honestly tell you, I've spent probably about 6 years trying to create it myself. I just needed an Addie in my life.
Oh.
Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I almost feel it's appropriate to say that even this space that we're sitting in right now, we threw together last minute with your help. So I think I would like to start there and kind of just picking your brain about what we did in just this space and why.
Yeah. Well, texture. We need texture. We need metal and plants. So when you pull those things together in a vignette, as we call it, it really pops. So we usually use things in threes: a photo, a plant, metal, texture, wood. Wood always works. So pulling together textures and different shapes, always, like I said, it just brings together a vignette.
Right.
Yeah.
So what started this journey for you?
Well, I have been in retail visual merchandising since I was pretty much 15 years old. So I grew up doing visual merchandising for retail stores. And as I got older and I realized that I wanted to be at home more with the kids, I decided to go get my real estate license. So as a realtor, I'm realizing that my most favorite thing that I love about real estate is the part where I get to stage the home and get it ready for sale. So I thought it just makes the most sense to marry the two and add my staging and design and the creativity in with real estate.
Right.
So it was just, so now that's kind of what I'm doing now, is staging and design.
And your background is pretty incredible. I mean, and I admire you. I mean, and you've traveled all over the place
Yes.
for your work, and you've lived out west. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I went to school at Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles. And after I graduated school, obviously I moved up in different retailers, large retailers. I mean, Guess, if you remember that back in the day.
Yes, I wore the triangle proudly.
That was the Maryland Jean. And Mossimo.
Yes.
And then my most recent big corporate job was for Forever 21, where I was kind of more of like the global visual merchandising operations director. So I traveled all over the United States, the world at the end, and went to Shanghai one day and Israel the next day and London the next day and Iowa the next day, helping the stores set their stores up for success and for sales. And I oversaw multiple teams at the corporate office that would do the merchandising strategy, the design strategy, and then the communications that went out to the stores, because it's not just about doing it and making things look pretty, but it's how do you communicate that to not only multiple people, but multiple people of different languages as well.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and how do you walk into a store and tell a store that their store doesn't look very good,
right?
But you want it to be encouraging and make them, excited about wanting to make it look better. So that kind of goes hand in hand with staging too. People think that their homes are beautiful and they're not always perfect. They're not bad, but they're not always perfect. Mm-hmm. And it's just trying to get people to see things in a different way. So I did that for a long time at Forever 21, and then I moved back to Ohio. And I had a lot of fun, but now that I have a child,
a family.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I want to be taken off to Shanghai tomorrow.
Right. But you've been able to take all of the experiences that you've had and your encounters and meeting all of these different businesses, different personality types, different styles, and kind of blend it into what you've just recently started, your own business.
Yeah. I kind of got to the point where I was like, I think I'm done working for corporate America, and I'm ready to work on my own. I think it's everyone's dream to have their own business. So I'm going to go for it. And I've been doing it now for a little while. So let's see where it goes.
And so you're in the realty business.
Yes.
But you're able to go into a home and help them spruce it up. But one of the things that not only do I find really interesting about your job, but one of the things that you mentioned was how much the value of the home can increase by just redecorating the space, redesigning the space.
Yep, it's true. So there's a few different things that we can do in staging. So some stagers focus just on vacant homes. Some focus just on consultations. I basically do whatever you need for me to do. So a lot of realtors will hire me to do a consultation, because they don't necessarily want to be the ones to tell the client that maybe their home doesn't look the greatest.
Right.
And it's not even that a home looks bad. It's just, it's not about judging people in the way that their home looks and how they decorate. It's not about you anymore. You have to view your home as a product. It's not your house anymore. You're selling it. So how do we market this product so the most people want to buy it at the highest amount possible?
Right.
So it's really about editing everything that they're doing in there. So if you walk in and they have a strong farmhouse theme or a Tuscan theme and it looks beautiful, you still need to make it more modernized and not scream a style, so people can see past the things.
To create their own vision and what they might want.
Absolutely. They have to be able to see it. And I don't know, I can't think of what exactly that stat was, but there is a statistic that it's only a certain percentage can see past your things. And it's a very high percentage of people that can't see past it.
Right, because if you're not a visual person,
right,
or you're not a creative person naturally, those people are the ones, they're going to struggle a little bit more. And
Absolutely.
Walking into a space like my home, for instance, it's modern, it's farm, but if you bring someone in here that likes contemporary, modern art, they're going to be like, ew.
They won't say ew, because your home is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But, if it's not their style, I can completely understand. And you offer a ton of different things. You not only go into their space and help realtors and business owners and homeowners, but you've talked to a mutual business This is where I found out about you.
Yeah.
Is I had gone into Cedar and Thread in Granville, Ohio, one of my favorite places, which I need to quit saying that. I mean, I love a lot of different places, but Granville is one I really love a lot. And in Cedar and Thread, they gave me your name and your business card because I was telling them, hey, I'm getting a few things because I'm entertaining this weekend. We're having people over. And they said, well, we know this lady named Addie, and she is really great, and she can just come in and she can help you stage or decorate just for an event.
Yeah.
Or a holiday. A holiday.
They're awesome. I actually helped them about 2016, so about 4 years ago, if my math is right. Helped them get their store ready. So they were going from one small space to a larger space, and I helped them design and set up their store. And they're the coolest and nicest people. And when they knew I was going to start doing this, they said, well, let us help, because we have people come in all the time that are looking for people to come buy our stuff and then go to our house and decorate it. And they're like, we don't do that. So they wanted to have a name. They're like, we could just keep your business cards here and give it to people. So if they want a redesign, so a redesign client, or now holidays, people need their homes decorated. And some people do it themselves. A lot of people do it themselves. But there are some people that don't have the vision, or they've collected things over the years. So they've got multiple different themes of holiday that they just go, I don't even know where to edit. So we go over and we lay out all of their things and go, okay, this is what we can move forward with. We've got a lot of this. Let's add some new modern updated pieces to this, and let's create a theme. And sometimes they don't need that, but they simply need somebody to install it, because the holidays are busy. People are
stressed.
Parties and stressed, and there's a lot of things going on, so they just need an extra set of hands. So yes, I can do that as well. But no, they're great, and I'm so glad that you found me through them.
I did. Well, and you've done so much in their store. I mean, it's incredible, and all of the little things that people don't understand goes into just creating stuff for a product, because you've got the marketing that's behind it for one thing. But I mean, a business owner that's passionate about what they do, they really want everything to look a certain way. And when they want it to look a certain way and they don't know how to do it, which I can very much relate in my own space. We're going to get to that later in the show, where we share some before and afters of my space. But you've done a lot of before and afters as well. So can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I love to, and that's just a part of my marketing strategy, is you can take these wonderful, beautiful photos, but what did it look like before? And so some of my before and after photos that I even shared with you, one is from a staging, and the lady didn't live there for 2 years, but we did have her big, large pieces of furniture. So we had her couch, we had her bed, but there was no decor. So everything that I did for that project was I went out and I sourced all the decor, sourced all the items. I put a whole plan together of, what we're going to put in the bookcases, which I know we'll talk about. Well, what are we going to put in the bookcases? What are we going to put on the bed? What are we, it's everything all the way down to the color of your comforter, because white shows better in photos. So that was a staging project. And then some of the other photos that I shared with you was a redesign project, which a client that is also a realtor that says, I can go into people's houses and tell them how to edit and declutter and do things for their own house, but I can't do that for my house. I can't pull things together. So we put together a budget. I went shopping for her. I made her leave and say, okay, we're going to do this HGTV style. You're going to leave. I'm going to redo everything. And then we did the reveal. And it was so fun, because she walked in, she was like, ah, and absolutely loved it. But so it's fun. But it's different. So when you're staging, it's totally two different things. You're staging, you're marketing a product for the buyer. Everybody can see themselves come in and see themselves living there. And even though it might not be their exact style, they could see themselves there.
Yes.
When you're working with a redesign client, that's totally different. That's more about understanding who you are, what you like. If I was a fly on the wall, what would I be doing? Like what would I be seeing you do at night?
Right.
Do you have a little reading nook?
Right.
Like, what time do you guys have dinner? And it's understanding the routines of the family and how you're going to make a space that it works for their lifestyle.
Right.
Like when your kids come in, do they throw their coats on the floor? Okay, you need a place for like a little mudroom area, right?
Right.
So those are the things you have to get to know. And it's not just about what kind of style do you like? Do you like farmhouse? Do you like boho? It's not just about knowing a style.
It's who they really are.
It's just who you are. And
Right.
that's why I always tell people, I'm like, don't worry about what the label is. Like we flip through the magazine or nowadays you're on the internet and you go, all right, what style am I? It's not about the style. It's just pulling things together that you love and making it work with a theme.
Right. And I think that's where we're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
I do love everything that Addie is doing. And when we come back, you guys are going to see some more of the changes that we made in my home. And we're also going to learn of some of the other great things that she does as a designer. So stick around. We'll be back.
Hi, I'm Amanda Wattenberg, Regional Director at Ohio Guidestone. Do you or does someone you know have a substance abuse disorder? Have you been thinking about getting help, but don't know where to start? It takes a lot of courage to ask for help, but it's the most important step you can take. If you think you know everything that's available in Fairfield County, think again. Like other chronic diseases, addiction can be managed successfully. Treatment enables people to counteract addiction's powerful, disruptive effects on the brain's behavior and regain control of their lives. Even if it takes multiple attempts, treatment does work and people do recover from addiction every day. So keep trying because your life matters. You matter, and we're here to help. Call 211 and ask for the treatment resources available right here in Fairfield County.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Hey guys, we're back. This is Healthy Life Designing. Today we've been talking to Addie Ashworth. Oh my goodness. So much talent is just, I can't even take it. She has been such an inspiration. And the fact that you've been able to come into my space and completely create the space, so I now love it. I mean, I was just like a kid in a candy store. I was just watching her every move as she just took everything apart. But something that I love that I wanted to make sure to mention is that my husband and I have these conversations about me creating messes, and I create a lot of messes. But I like to say I'm creating the mess to make something marvelous. I'm going to create a masterpiece out of my mess. That's the only way I feel like you can do it.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have until you take it all apart,
Yeah.
you lay it all out, and that's something that you walked me through. And
Yep.
so my dining room is next door to my office. It's a very large table. And so she and I just took pretty much everything that was in my entire office space and shifted it all to the next room and kind of just, it gave you a new foundation to kind
Yep.
of work your magic.
Yep.
So can you kind of walk us through the steps that you go through when you work on shelving? Because that's what we
Yeah.
decided to do
Yeah.
in my space.
Yeah. You have to know, and this goes back to visual merchandising too, you have to know what product you're using. So what product you're using, what decor you're using, and if it's already placed, let's use bookcases for example. If it's already up there, I got to take it all down and lay it out. And I group things together by category: books, plants, objects. Objects could be like spheres, animal little figurines or whatever, bookends. I also break things up by texture. So wood, sometimes we use rocks, plants again. And then I try to create, and I always joke and say visual merchandising is kind of like math. I'm horrible at math.
But I love that.
I know, but there's
because
like,
I understand this kind of math.
I like there's this balance that you do. You don't just throw it all up there and go pretty. You throw it up with some sort of, it has to make sense. There has to be purpose. There has to be balance. So, and I know we'll look at it later, but if I put a plant here, and I always try to start with like a triangle if you think about bookcases. So plant, 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 maybe books, books, books. So everything should like kind of mirror each other, balance each other. And it's not always, it's not a rule, because there's no rules in styling, and there's no rules in visual merchandising. It's more of like guidelines of kind of what to follow. And the biggest thing, and I think that I see people do the most, is they own all this decor and they think that it's great and they just shove it all up and they put it on their walls and they put it, and it's like you have to have a space for your eye to rest. And so there has to be a little area of relief. So if you have a bookshelf and you only put something over to the left and nothing to the right, that's okay. Because you need to have your eye move throughout.
Some negative space.
Yeah. You got to have your eye move throughout the space. There's a lot of thought processes that go into it.
So you got to see a lot of my not negative space in my bookcases.
Right. But you were using your bookcases as functional, which you can do functional and you can do it by style too. But yes, you had all your books lined up, probably by
stuffed in there.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's what works for you. But there is a way that if you wanted to create a more of a monochromatic space by turning the books around, I like to rip off the jackets. And because some of them are really, really pretty, like black cream books underneath with like gold, and it gives you more
texture too.
Yep, and it adds texture because some of the book covers are just really bright and they're paper and plasticky, right? So turn the books around. That's a little tip. Just show the actual paper. Unless you're constantly pulling those books down, like I said to you, like how often are you pulling these books down to read?
Right.
Because if you are, then you're not going to like them turned around. But if it's more for a visual, I'm like looking up at them right now. If it's more for a visual, then turn them around and then do a chunk of those and chunk out your colors. Chunk out the color, do a decor, chunk out the color. There's all kinds of little tips and tricks. And using your books to stack. Yes. So if you have a really great bind, stack them up high and then place an object on top.
Right.
It gives that object purpose and a foundation.
And another thing is, I mean, this year has been crazy and so many people are working from home. I know I've been working from home more than I have for years, and it feels so good now. I mean, I've always loved my space, but now I feel like it's more me. I feel like it's more open and airy. And before, I had all of these different colors. I had all of these different things kind of almost as if it was just vomited onto the shelves, because I'm thinking I have all of these shelves. I need to put all of these books away. This is where it has to go. It didn't have to go there. And now, since you've worked it and have kind of recreated this, I've learned, oh my gosh, I love it so much more now. It feels like me, but I'm inspired in my space. And so many people are at home working, and you're working in a space that's not going to spark ideas, make you want to be more productive and enjoy the space. Some people are working 8 hours a day at home.
Yeah.
And so I would say to you, reach out to this gal right here, because she can do it all for you. Yeah. And another thing is Airbnb.
Okay.
Can we go there?
Yeah. So when you do staging to sell a home, you're trying to make it look clean, modern, neutral colors, not over the top, something that everybody likes.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, you go into redesign. What do you like? It's all about what you like. So I design it for that. When you're talking about vacation rentals, that's where it gets fun. Vacation rentals, and that's not an area that I've tapped into much, but that's a goal. And what I want to do, and I've taken a couple classes on it too, is I'm designed for Airbnbs especially. That's where you can go fun and crazy with the design and a theme. And not only is it about the design, you're going through Airbnb, right? You're swiping, you're looking at all the pictures. You don't want to book the place that has that looks dark and dingy, bad photos. Yes. You want the one that looks like it's right out of like House, right?
Right.
Like that's what you want. So a lot of people that are these Airbnb owners, they get it and some don't. And that's where I can come in and help them and say, let's create a really cool modern design, and I'll bring in a professional photographer to take awesome photos so you ultimately will get your place booked more. But it's not just about making a space beautiful and making it fun and going over the top. It's also, you need to make sure that your reviews are good and people are coming back and rebooking, because once they get there, yeah, it's beautiful, but they want it to feel comfortable. They want it to feel like home. You need good beds, right? You need the amenities. You need a coffee maker. You need those things that are important. Little things like good toilet paper.
Which would be, I would also say, in the comfortable category.
I know. Well, my husband and I recently went to an Airbnb, and it was adorable. It was beautiful. Of course, I picked it because it was great location. The photos were great online, and it's so kind of funny and embarrassing to say, but they had the worst toilet paper. It was that single ply toilet paper that, like, you don't want to use. It's like tissue paper, and did you really think we're going to talk about tissue paper right now? But I mean, it was horrible. I mean, and it was like, no one wants.
But it's the truth.
But after I started reading the reviews, people actually commented on that. They didn't like the toilet paper.
Right.
So.
No, I mean, we've gone to multiple places, and even though we're taking our family, whether it be a condo or a house that we rent on vacation, those are some of the things that I remember too. I mean, come on, you're going to spend a ton of money.
Yep.
And you want the whole family to be comfortable.
Yeah.
In every situation. In the bed, to me, that's always one of my number one things.
Yeah.
Or even if I go to a hotel.
Yep.
It's the same thing for me, because I don't sleep well. I'm like super light sleeper anyways. And so there's got to be a fan. There's got to be a nice bed.
Totally a fan too.
Great toilet paper. You do. You want it to reflect home. And another thing is, I want to make sure we talk about this, is you've done tons of designing and tons of different things, also in jewelry.
Oh yeah, jewelry. Well, I started, so I'll tell you how I started into that. Back in 2007, when I was living in LA, we have 3 wiener dogs, dachshunds.
Yes.
And we would take them everywhere and walk them. Where we lived, we walked everywhere. I couldn't find harnesses to fit them. So long story short, I started making them harnesses. Again, going to fashion design school, so yes, I know how to sew. Started making them harnesses. Then I started making collars. Then I started making pet beds. And I started selling them in local stores. And that was when the whole craft show market started getting really big in 2007 in LA. So then I started selling at a bunch of those stores, or those shows. As I was going to those shows, I would leave not making any money because I was spending all my earnings on jewelry, because I'm obsessed with jewelry. So one thing led to another, and I just started making jewelry myself. And it's more of a hobby. I do sell in, I was in a few local stores here, but I'm still in one store in Westerville. It's called Pure Roots. I sell there. And then I just have my online Etsy shop. And usually around the holidays is when I do a ton of different craft shows too.
And what are the types of jewelry?
So necklaces, tons of bracelets.
Which are so awesome.
Bracelets, and then I used to make rings. I have a few earrings, but...
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, with the staging business getting so big and the design business, I've had to reel back on that a little bit. But yeah, I still do it. It's fun.
Right. If you had to say your favorite thing about what you do, what would you say?
I love helping people. So, and I know that sounds like such a cliche, but it's true. When people, they know what they want, they see what they want, they're looking around their house, they're like, I have this vision, and it is a challenge though to try to pull that out of somebody, to try to figure out what it is that they're trying to say. They might say, I like industrial, I like farmhouse, but when they start showing you things that they like, you're like, that's not farmhouse, that's not industrial, so it's more about just pulling their personality out to create a space. And the idea of walking in and having them be so excited when they see it, and even when you and I were speaking earlier and I was explaining to you how I laid out the bookshelf, you went, oh yeah, that makes sense. It was your little light bulb went off, right?
Yeah, right.
It's about the light bulbs going off.
And I loved every single detail of it. And we did 2 different spaces in my house. We did my office space, which is more airy and open and white shelving. And then we also went down into our basement space where a lot of our family hangs out. We only have a few minutes here, but I want to make sure that you guys got to see the 2 different changes that we made. More Addie, of course, the professional designer here. But I even feel better in that space as well, because it's like I had to have the permission that I don't have to have something on every single shelf.
No, you don't.
And it still has our personal touch to it. It feels clean, it feels open, and it feels airy.
Good.
And so I loved it. But if people want to reach out for designing their new space, for their home,
staging,
the jewelry, could you share all of that information?
Yeah. I have a website. It's ashworthstaginganddesign.com. There you can find everything about myself there. And then I also have an Etsy site for my jewelry, which is under Etsy, but it's Addie Ash Collection.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. If anything, you guys, I hope that you've been so inspired like I have. And thanks for coming into my home today. Thank you so much, Addie, for making the drive down here. Guys, check her out, because if you've been stuck in your own space or you're trying to sell a house, and one big thing is there's a ton of small business owners that I feel like when I've walked into your space, that it could be so much better. You could be getting a lot more sales. You could have a lot more clients walking through the door, and you might not know what you're missing until you have someone like Addie come through the door, spruce it up a little bit, give it a little TLC. But that is all that we have time for, you guys. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.